So welcome. Today I'm going to work on this left side 3-speed Dior DX. So this is the last version, I believe, the M075. I think I've got a video of the earlier M070. So I'm going to finish off with the collection. So nothing's changed really with this So there was a few upgrades to this shifter. The body is very similar, and in fact it is exactly the same as the Xt M900. So this shift has pretty much a sticky issue, classic. I could easily repair this by just opening it up and running some WD-40 and then adding on some oil, but we're going to do it a little bit harder. We're going to do a rebuild. So let's get started. So first thing we want to do is make sure there's no more tension in that spring. We can remove the pod from the lever. Oh, that's pretty hard. Got it. So underneath here there's the underpod cover. We're going to remove the screw. So here there's number 10 nut to remove. You're going to be going clockwise to take it off. So here there's the top plate that's holding down the return spring on that lever. So there's a spring here, one part's held onto that lever and the other end is latched on right there. We can just take that off. And the spacer. We can now lift up that lever, and you can see how gunky it is underneath. Plastic and bushing. Right here there's a small clip that we need to remove. We can now lift up that plate. It's pretty much held down. Sorry, before you take off that plate, I thought this was stuck on or something, but it's so sticky it's actually not removing itself. I think I just got it. Yeah, got it. So there's a kind of like a bushing spacer. Right, so underneath here there's a spring that's acting as a return spring for one of the pulls. There's another spring here that we can now remove. Another kind of a ring. Okay, so now we're reaching the last lever. We can now remove that as well. So there's a very thin spacer here in copper. Don't want to lose that. So we're going to take that out. So in this spring there's the main pivoting bolt. Underneath that there's a ring, another copper ring. I have a feeling that bushing comes off, but yeah, it does. Oh. And then there's the sprocket. I think we're going to take that off and clean it. It's fairly dirty. And underneath the spring, we're going to take off the pulls inside here. I just stabbed myself a little bit in the finger, removing this clip on this pull for the lever because it's so gunky I can't see where the little slot is, but I managed to find it in the end. It's still stuck. Okay, got it. No wonder this was so sloppy. Yeah, oh, it's so hard. Whew. And this needed to be cleaned badly. Oh man, even the spring I can't take off, it's so sticky. Right, so we're going to now clean all the parts. It's not really the type of shifter I like working on, as each individual part is just covered in some old grease that needs to be degreased and cleaned individually. Last night I cleaned most of the parts. It was quite long to clean. I didn't clean every single detail on this, but you know, mainly the parts in the mechanism to, well, get rid of the hardened grease. So now we're going to rebuild it. I'm going to put some grease on most of the parts beforehand, so it's a Teflon grease, and then I'm going to proceed on to the rebuild. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the main pivot that runs through the mech. We're going to put it back onto the pod to make it easier to work on. The first thing I want to do on this mech, and not to forget, is the ring, and we can put that in place. So to hold that pivot in place, I'm just going to put a spacer instead of having to screw this bolt all the way down. There you go, that will keep it in place. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this sprocket part back on top of the nylon part. Underneath this there's a spring, so you'll see that little tip that's sticking out, that's going to slot into that slit that's on the nylon part underneath. So we can pop that in now. And the other tip of that spring is going to go on the inside the hole that's irregular on here. I'm trying to find it now. So it's very close, it's actually right there. You can see if I put the light like that tip of my finger there. So we're going to aim for that tip of that spring to go into that part. And I've got it, I think. Yeah, I've got it. So I've already put grease on these little pivot parts. We can put the first pull now, so it's this pull here on towards the top. Move out of the way and push it all the way down. And then there's going to be the second pull that's here. So on top here there's a spring, and that long top bit, the long part is going to go first downwards onto the pull. And we're going to be tensioning that after when we're going to install that top plate. We're going to install the first lever, so that kind of pointy part is going to sit eventually between here. So on top of that there's a very small copper ring, and then a spacer. There's actually two spacers in this mechanism. They're exactly the same from the appearance at least, so it doesn't matter which one you put in. Finally we're going to put the return spring for this lever. So there's that hook part that's going to latch onto one of the pivots there, and the other little tip of that spring that's going downwards is going to eventually hook onto the lever itself. So let's put that first part like that. There you go. We can now put this plate back on top, so it's going to go down towards, to see if there's a little folded bit there, that's going to go downwards. There you go. So here there's that spring that was on that pull, and I'm going to use this flat-headed screwdriver, and we're going to drive it towards just here. Yeah, I got it. So there you go, it's gone over just here. Now while we're at it, we're going to reinstall or put back the clip. And next there's another bushing. You have a nylon plastic part. We need to put the pull back onto this lever before we install it. So the spring for that pull with a kind of hook shape in a triangle is going to go first. And that kind of goes underneath the lever. And you're going to put that in front of the spring, and you'll see instantly it's now already working. And now we can put the clip so we need to put the pull back, we need to put that second lever on. We're going to need to we need to move that sprocket out of the way to make room for the pull. So you can use a screwdriver or whatever to make a gap here. And then the pull is going to, you need to bend it slightly, as you can see, for it to fit in. And then it should just slot in nicely. You know what? I completely forgot to put the seal, whatever, that goes underneath the first lever. I think you can still install it now, it's just a bit more annoying now to do. Okay, got it back on, and now I need to put the pull back into place. And now I need to put the lever back into place. And then we're going to put this ring on the top. Now there's a return spring for the last lever. So the little bit that's sticking out is going to latch towards here on the lever. Where's that curvature? And the hooking part is going to go onto the pull towards there. So this is quite easy to do. Make sure it's laying nice and flat. We can now install the plate that sits on the top. Finally, the nut, which is going to hold all the parts in the mechanism in place, and that's going to be turned anti-clockwise. Not too tight, I guess. Let's take off the bolt now and install this back onto the main body. We can now install the pod back onto the lever. And the cover. So let's give this a test. Appears to be working. So I hope this helped you repair your M075 Shimano DX 3-speed shifter. Thank you for listening, and until next time, peace out.